KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Coming up, Chef Anthony Fisher from the Pittsburgh High School Culinary Program heads into Studio K this morning to bring us baked beans and pineapple brats.
Also, first responders do battle with a blaze that broke out at a Joplin manufacturing plant.
But we're going to take a quick check of that forecast. Skywatch Storm Tracker shows us nothing to worry about today. As we head through the day, though, the sun's going to come out, and these nice temperatures we've got this morning are going to heat up. We'll have more on your complete forecast here in just a little bit.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. A former Ottawa County, Oklahoma prosecutor pleads guilty to offering favorable treatment in court proceedings in exchange for sexual favors. Authorities say 44-year-old Daniel Giraldi of Joplin also provided drugs to the defendant he made the agreement with. He pleaded guilty to 1 count of possession of oxycodone with intent to distribute and 4 counts of honest services fraud. As part of the plea agreement, Giraldi will forfeit his Oklahoma bar license. He will be sentenced at a later date. A Joplin woman accused of killing a Joplin couple in a crash learns her sentence for an earlier crime. Rita Glasgow was originally charged with drug possession in 2017. In February of 2020, she was charged with drug trafficking. Then authorities say in January of last year, Glasgow was intoxicated when she drove a stolen pickup into an SUV. Terry and Rhonda Koppel of Joplin both died from injuries in that crash. In February of this year, Glasgow began serving a 7-year prison sentence for the 2017 case after she failed to complete a court-ordered program. And now a judge has sentenced her to serve 4 years to be served concurrently for the 2020 case. She's already pled guilty in the fatal crash, and she's set to be sentenced in that case July 25th. Firefighters battle a blaze at a Joplin manufacturing plant Wednesday afternoon. They found flames at the Owens Corning complex on State Line Road. We do not have any report of injuries, though. The fire was reported around 1:45 Wednesday afternoon. Some firefighters cut a hole in the roof, apparently to get access to the fire. Others worked inside the building. The plant makes insulation. Joplin police say the cyclist hit by a Newton County Sheriff's deputy's patrol vehicle has died. Accident happened around 2 a.m. last Thursday near East 32nd and South Finley Streets in Joplin. Authorities say the deputy's SUV collided with a motorized bicycle, sending its rider, 44-year-old Ryan Hunnell of Joplin, to the hospital. Police announced Hunnell died of his injuries on Sunday. JPD's major crash team is investigating. Well, inflation doesn't appear to be going anywhere just yet. Consumer prices surged more than 9% in the U.S. In June, the largest year-to-year increase in over 4 decades. Bradley Blackburn reports from New York.
Rising inflation continues to take a toll throughout the nation.
I mean, peaches are $1 each. It's kind of crazy.
A report from the Department of Labor says the Consumer Price Index accelerated in June to 9.1% compared to a year ago, a level not seen since 1981.
We're all living in the same world, so it affects all of us. Some hit her a little harder than others.
Higher rents and increased food costs help power the surge, but gas and energy prices have been the biggest inflation drivers by far.
We've all noticed mostly at the gas pump. So I just filled our Volvo car, our Volvo SUV up, and it's quite expensive.
An RV dealer in Texas blames sky-high fuel prices for a 50% decline in his business.
I got sales guys that now aren't going to be able to make as many commissioned sales as they were. I've got service guys that aren't going to have as many units to work on. I've got cleaning staff that I'll probably have to lay off or let go.
The Federal Reserve has indicated it will likely gradually increase interest rates until inflation levels off. A hike of 0.75 percentage point is expected later this month. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Fed Chairman Jerome Powell has acknowledged that raising interest rates too quickly could trigger a recession, but Powell says runaway inflation poses a greater long-term threat to the economy. Well, one of the most delicious and easiest side dishes is ready to shine. Today is National Mac and Cheese Day. All you need to make this mouth-watering meal is macaroni, noodles, cream or milk, and some cheese. The classic is made with cheddar or American, but you can spice up your mac and cheese with varying cheeses like how do you say that kind? Gouda or Gruyere? I've never heard of that kind of cheese. Maybe sprinkle in some bacon, jalapenos, or breadcrumbs. Just because it's simple to make doesn't mean it's boring. It's unclear how National Mac and Cheese Day got started, but we're sure glad it did. And you know, there's a national day for everything, so I'm not really surprised there's one for mac and cheese.
I'm not surprised in the slightest at all, to be honest. But you know what? Mac and cheese deserves its own day because it's like you said, it's simplistic to make, but it's so good. And of course, you know, they've got the regular macaroni noodles, or you can do pasta shells, or you can shake it up so many different ways, even throw in those jalapenos.
Well, you know, and Joplin even has a restaurant that is all about mac and cheese.
Yes,
yeah.
And that's how big of a deal mac and cheese really is, because there's that whole little restaurant devoted to mac and cheese and the varieties of mac. You can't open a restaurant and just simply offer plain mac and cheese. So that's what I'm saying. Like, mac and cheese is where it's at.
I love putting bacon in my mac and cheese.
Have you tried those new? Oh, they're not new anymore, but like the Cheetos Mac and Cheese, where they
yes.
are
okay,
so good.
I got the regular one and then the extra spicy one, the hot, bold and spicy or whatever.
Oh, right.
And all my kids decided the spicy one was too spicy. And then I don't know what, they forgot that we had tried it. So, you know, a couple months later, Leif saw it in the store and he's like, I want to try this again. I really liked it last time. I'm like, no, you didn't.
No, you did not.
Once again, he couldn't eat it, but I enjoyed it. It's good though.
I see. I can't do spicy. When I was younger, I could do spicy all the time. I can't do it now, but man, and that goes back to the whole thing about mac and cheese and the varieties. So many options for mac and cheese. It's not just mac and cheese.
Well, and then not just elbow macaroni. Like, you can do the spirals, or you can do shapes, and
get
creative.
Now I'm hungry for mac and cheese, but hey, even though I'm not getting mac and cheese, Chef Anthony's coming up with some really tasty recipes. We'll go more into that, and you definitely want to stick around because he's got some good summer food. Quick check of the forecast, 7th and range line. The sun has risen, obviously, because look at how bright it is. Look at these buildings. They're very well lit up, and they are very well lit up under comfortable conditions right now, at least. 69 in Joplin. Most of us starting the day in the mid to upper 60s now. We've got 71 in Chanute, though, a little bit warmer. 72 in Anderson and Neosho, and these temperatures will continue to climb. See, take a look. They go up as the day progresses until we get closer to sunset. Pushing highs in the upper 90s with a light southeast breeze as we go into the night. It's not really going to cool off a lot, but it's, you know, at least not going to be 90 degrees come midnight. We're looking at overnight lows in the mid to upper 70s, and that light southeast wind will prevail. Quick look at the future track. Here come those nice warm temperatures. As you can see, some scattered clouds out to our east. Nothing really around here. We've got clear skies. But take a look up to our northwest. We have some changes on the way. They're not going to do a lot for the temperatures, but we do have some showers and thunderstorms that could make their way in here by Friday. We have better chances of showers and thunderstorms as we head into the weekend. Unfortunately, we also have better chances of reaching 100 degrees as we head into the weekend. We'll go more in depth on that forecast a little later. Coming up, though, new research shows a link between liver disease and dementia. We've got the details. And the Crawford County Historical Museum wants to make learning fun and wacky. We got more on that story on the way. You are watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Chef Anthony in studio again with us this morning, and earlier on the KOAM Morning News, we prepared some baked beans with your amazing bourbon strawberry sauce that you made for us last week.
It's gonna be so good when that cooks up.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. But this time around, we're going to be working with pineapple brats.
Yes, I have pineapple brats that I got from Simon Market, but instead of taking them home and cooking them, I asked him to smoke them for me.
Okay.
It changes the texture of them, so they're a little bit more mellow, and you get a little bit of the smokiness. That's just a different flavor and a different profile all the way around. So one of the big things that you want to think about when you're cooking is what you want the ultimate thing to be, but never to forget that the basis of cooking is experimentation.
Exactly.
So what I have here are vegetables, an assortment of peppers, and a surprise for you that has all come from Martinez.
So we can see it. I'm going to pull this back just a little bit.
And I'm going to put these beautiful peppers right into my skillet.
Okay.
And all that beautiful color that's in there.
And these are all they have different boxes that they offer each week, and you can do an all fruit box, you can do an all veggie box.
They
You
do
can
it.
do a keto box for if you're on a keto diet or want to be keto friendly and have less sugar.
Yep.
And then,
This is-
there's a combo box that's a combination of vegetables and
Yes, and that's what I have left here. This is what I have left out of my combo box. I also had a head of lettuce. I had
big old watermelon.
a big giant watermelon, and it's just, and all the peppers, and a mango, which is what we're going to add next. We want a little sweetness inside, so we're going to add a little mango in here and let it kind of cook in and offer some of its sweetness.
Last week, the keto box had cauliflower, heads of cauliflower in it. And last night, my husband made me a cauliflower soup with roasted cauliflower and roasted red pepper. And
Oh, it's so good, isn't it?
oh my goodness, I've never had anything like that. So it was delicious.
And we're going to add a little bit of garlic, some flake salt, just because I want it to stand up just a little bit more.
Okay.
And this is my applewood flake salt. And just for a little bit more push, little crushed red pepper.
So you have this on about medium heat?
About medium heat,
Okay.
and I'm just letting it slow cook to get going.
I was about to say we didn't bring a spoon or anything to stir with, but Chef Anthony doesn't need one.
No, I love tossing it around, especially when I'm in class. The kids just love it. So, and I always try to encourage them when we do our vegetables and they saute vegetables, we always have okay, wait 1 minute till I get over there and I will show you how, and then you can do it. And they always get nervous, but they
So
always succeed.
what are your tips on tossing without tossing your food out of the pan?
Practice. When I learned to do this, I practiced it with dry beans.
Okay.
So learning to start small at first and build it up to where I could get what I wanted it to be.
And this is a non-stick pan that you're working with.
Correct. This is a non-stick pan. It makes life a little bit simpler. I don't have to add a whole bunch of oil to it. So I'm going to turn my heat up just a little bit. There we go. I want to make sure I get my onions and my peppers to cook together a little bit, and then the mango to get an opportunity to come out. And then we're going to add...
I've noticed you often work with, with your vegetables, you'll throw in a fruit.
Yes, the sweetness of the fruit kind of makes things a little bit better. You can never go wrong when you add just a little bit of fruit, but be careful of what you add. I always try to add something a little bit different than what I did the last time. But I've also experimented a lot with it, so I know which fruits will go with what better. And the only way to do that is just to play with it at home and find out what your taste is.
What about apple slices? Would that work with something
Apples
like
go
this?
great with pork. And if you do a risotto with apples, and you bake off your apple a little bit first, or roast them a little bit first, and then puree them down, a little bit of chicken stock, go wonderful in risotto.
Okay.
Home run every single time.
We might have to make a risotto sometime.
We can definitely try and do that. It's a little time consuming, but I imagine with the magic of television, oh wait, we don't get that, do we?
No. Usually we start them in this segment and then can finish it by the end of the next segment, so unless it requires an hour to cook.
Risotto takes a half an hour to cook.
So we'd have to plan appropriately for that. We could do it.
We might be able to do it. I'll figure out a way.
Yeah.
So, and now I'm just letting everything kind of marry together. And you can see inside the pan, the colors are absolutely gorgeous inside of there. The protein stands out on its own. And everything is already pre-cooked to its necessary temperature.
Okay.
So
Well,
you
let's
don't
let
have to
this
worry.
finish up. We'll go to break and then come back and what are we calling this dish?
This is
Sausage
just
and
onions,
veggies?
sausage and peppers.
Sausage and peppers? Okay, we'll come back and try our sausage and peppers after the break.
In Health Watch this morning, new research in Canada finds children born to mothers with polycystic ovary syndrome have an increased risk of developing health issues by age 13. Children of mothers with PCOS were 31% more likely to be admitted to the hospital with an infectious disease and 47% more likely to be admitted with allergy-related problems. PCOS is a common disorder of the ovaries affecting as many as 10% of reproductive age women. Depression is common after suffering a stroke, but a new study now finds many stroke patients have depression before their stroke, and those depressive symptoms can worsen after the stroke. Doctors say more research is needed to determine whether depression can predict who will have a stroke. And liver disease may be linked to dementia. That's according to research in Sweden that found patients with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease had a 38% higher rate of dementia. Researchers did not find a higher rate of Alzheimer's disease. The Humane Society of the U.S. will transfer 4,000 dogs bred for medical research to new homes. The beagles come from a facility in Virginia with more than 70 animal welfare violations. Department of Agriculture reports show more than 300 puppies have died at the facility from unknown causes over the past 20 years. According to the USDA, the facility made no attempt to figure out why the puppies died or even prevent it further. Inotiv, which owns the facility under its subsidiary Invigo, agreed to shut it down permanently. Federal agents have already seized more than 400 dogs from the facility. Humane Society will transport the rest over the next 2 months. The organization says it's prioritizing pregnant dogs, mothers with unweaned puppies, and juveniles first. Time now for a check of that forecast. As you can see, Skywatch Storm Tracker shows us nothing to track, so, that's all right. We'll take it so far. As we head through the day, though, it's going to warm up. Right now, it's already on the warming trend. 69 is where we're sitting in Joplin, and obviously under sunny and clear skies, and those skies are going to stay that way. All of us started in around the mid-60s this morning, and we're already pushing into the upper 60s and even lower 70s starting to pop up on the board. And as we head through the day, those temperatures are going to continue to go on up. Afternoon high, upper 90s, pushing 100 under a light southeast breeze. Clear skies continue through the night, and because of that, they're not going to cool off all that much either. Overnight lows in the mid to possibly even upper 70s. Taking a look at the future track, we're going to skip ahead a bit here, and I want to talk to you about tomorrow. So as you can see, clear skies do hold in, and then as we head into tomorrow, take a look off to our north and west. We have a little system that's coming in, a weak wave that's going to bring us some shower and maybe even an isolated thunderstorm chance, but take a look at how spotty these little green marks are. They're very spotty, so not everybody's going to get rain, but those rain chances will increase, and we do need them because on the drought tracker you can see where most of us are sitting in that dry, and we have the moderate drought situation starting to build in from the east. 7-day forecast does show us increasing rain chances as we head into the weekend. Unfortunately, it also shows increasing thunderstorm chances. Increasing temperatures, rather. So give your AC a break if you can, because as we head into next week, highs pushing 100 and overnight lows in the upper 70s to near 80 degrees. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:31. Let's take a look at today's top stories. Joplin police say the cyclist hit by a Newton County Sheriff's deputy's patrol vehicle has died. The accident happened around 2 a.m. last Thursday near East 32nd and South Finley Streets in Joplin. Authorities say the deputy's SUV collided with a motorized bicycle, sending its rider, 44-year-old Ryan Hunnell of Joplin, to the hospital. Police announced Hunnell died of his injuries on Sunday. JPD's major crash team is investigating. A former Ottawa County, Oklahoma prosecutor pleads guilty to offering favorable treatment in court proceedings in exchange for sexual favors. Authorities say 44-year-old Daniel Giraldi of Joplin also provided drugs to the defendant he made the agreement with. He pleaded guilty to 1 count of possession of oxycodone with intent to distribute and 4 counts of honest services fraud. As part of the plea agreement, Giraldi will forfeit his Oklahoma bar license. He will be sentenced at a later date. Firefighters were called to a Joplin manufacturing plant Wednesday afternoon. They found flames at the Owens Corning complex on State Line Road. We don't have any reports of injuries, but the fire was reported around 1:45 Wednesday afternoon. Some firefighters cut a hole in the roof, apparently to get access to the fire. Others worked inside the building. The plant makes insulation. A Joplin woman accused of killing a Joplin couple in a crash learns her sentence for an earlier crime. Rita Glasgow was originally charged with drug possession in 2017. And then in February of 2020, she was charged with drug trafficking. And then authorities say in January of last year, Glasgow was intoxicated when she drove a stolen pickup into an SUV. Terry and Rhonda Koppel of Joplin both died from injuries in that crash. In February of this year, Glasgow began serving a 7-year prison sentence for the 2017 case. after she failed to complete a court-ordered program. And now a judge has sentenced her to serve 4 years to be served concurrently for the 2020 case. She's already pled guilty in the fatal crash, and she's set to be sentenced in that case July 25th. For some, learning history can be a little boring, but the Crawford County Historical Museum wants to make it wacky. Yesterday, the museum hosted its last Wacky Wednesday of the summer. The theme was County Fair. There were snow cones, yard games, puppies to pet, and painting.
There's a lot of interactive displays here today. The kids can do some fun things outdoors. We've got a perfect day for it, and we're glad to share some of Crawford County history with this great group of kids here today.
If you're wanting to learn about upcoming events from the Crawford County Historical Museum, you can visit our website, koamnewsnow.com/events. Are you still baffled about where to take a vacation this year? If so, Time Magazine has released its World's Greatest Places of 2022. For those looking to stay in North America, 5 spots got the nod: San Francisco, Detroit, Miami, Park City, Utah, and Portland, Oregon. Now, folks looking to use their passports may want to check out other areas on the list, including Jamaica, Chile's Easter Island, France's Marseille, and the small Czech ski resort of Dolní Morava. The list was put together by Time Magazine's international correspondents and contributors. According to a statement from Time, all of these destinations are, quote, thriving, growing, and changing, and investing in sustainability.
So, Park City, Utah, I had not heard of. I've obviously heard of the others, including Portland.
Surprised me that Detroit made the list.
I'm really surprised about that too.
Yeah.
Unless you want to tour like old Detroit, that might be interesting to see. Some of the abandoned portions of the city. I've seen a lot of neat abandoned videos on YouTube from Detroit. Abandoned schools, factories, homes, neighborhoods. It is interesting, and I will leave the exploring to those guys. Fun fact, because like I said, I'd never really heard of Park City. Park City, Utah is at an elevation of 7,000 feet.
Okay.
Portland is at an elevation of 50 feet. So if you're looking for something where you can just test out elevation durability, you could visit Park City and then head west to Portland and drop 6,950 feet.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm full of useless information.
Well, I know a lot of cruises and a lot of ocean activities would revolve around Miami, of course. So I've been there twice.
Yeah.
So,
I've never really been outside the 4 states very much. I haven't traveled a lot. I'm pretty lame. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to just be honest straight up. I'm pretty lame.
Well, there's so many things to do here. It just keeps you busy.
That's very true. That's very true. I do stay very busy around the 4-state area. Speaking of the 4-state area, it's going to be another warm one. 7th and Rangeline is looking clear and sunny. It's going to stay that way throughout the day. 69 in Joplin. Rest of us sitting in the upper 60s. Now we're starting to get those lower 70s appearing on the board. Temperatures will continue to rise throughout the day, pushing highs in the upper 90s to near 100 with heat index values about matching that, which is, muggy. Not going to cool off a lot tonight. Mid to upper 70s overnight, and a quick look at the 7-day forecast does show while we have increasing temperatures, we also have increasing rain chances through the weekend. They're not going to do much for those temperatures, but any rain we can get is certainly going to be beneficial before we start reaching 100 degrees by next week. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 when we come back. It's time for us to honor today's 4-state hero, Private First Class Thomas Neal. The Girard native served in the Philippines and Korea in World War II as a member of the military police. To Private First Class Thomas Neal, we thank you, today's 4-state hero. Well, this morning we're discussing blood donations for pets. Donating blood can be critical for saving lives, but we typically think of that as a human consideration. But there's a group of veterinarians that wants to expand people's consideration of what it means to donate blood by including their pets, which are often overlooked. Now, pets can suffer similar ailments and injuries as humans, and therefore they have the same need for blood. And the process for donating blood is also similar. If a person has a healthy animal, vets encourage regular donations. In the case of a dog, for example, 1 donation can save up to 3 lives, and that, of course, depends on the size of the dog. But our question to you is, more in general terms, how often do you take your pet to the vet? Choices are never, monthly, yearly, or maybe you have a different schedule. 8% of you say you never take your pet to the vet. 13% say you do it monthly. 63% of you say you do it every year. And 16% of you out there have a slightly different schedule. Make sure you vote, KOAMNewsNow.com/vote in the KOAM News Now app. And of course, take part in the discussion on Facebook, Facebook.com/KOAM Fox 14. This one's fun. A toilet bowl surprise. Now, this is not when somebody forgets to flush the toilet. This is a different kind of toilet bowl surprise for a man in South Florida after finding an iguana in his toilet bowl. But as Brandon Byer tells us, this is not the first time an uninvited iguana has dropped by the homeowner's toilet.
Every time I walk into the restroom, I open the lid of the toilet with a certain amount of apprehension.
And who can blame him? For the third time in less than a year, Bruce Byers found an iguana in his toilet.
This is twice in the last week, so it's happening more and more.
At least he has Harold Rondon to call, who makes a living removing iguanas.
One time it was funny, second time, let's do something, but now the third time?
First they covered the vent on the roof. Figured that's how they were getting in. Now it's just a mystery.
We know it's not the vents. He looked for a little open sewer line around his house. He hasn't found one. So now we need to find out what's coming on before someone does get hurt.
Because imagine sitting down on this.
You go into that bathroom, half asleep, sit down, and it unfortunately gets you. It's tearing flesh.
So for now, Bruce says he'll take a close look every time nature calls. He's also keeping Harold's number handy. Who knows if he'll need his services for a fourth time.
After the first time, I said I would never sit down again without looking. After the second time, I said the same thing. I'm not sure I'm ever going to sit down again. So we never know when they're going to appear.
Can you imagine? You just go to the, nature calls, you go in there, and hey, now you've got a pet iguana. Maybe somebody ate the iguana? I don't know. We're going to be right back with some consumer news after this.
In Consumer Watch this morning, for many companies, the pandemic proved that working from home did not hurt productivity. Now some employers want workers back in the office at least 3 days a week, but mandating more days in the workplace could backfire as employees want to work remotely more often than their companies let them. New data from the Survey of Working Arrangements and Attitudes suggests more than 56% of employees want to work remotely 3 or more days a week. Meanwhile, more than 55% of companies are offering less than 3 days of remote work a week. Workplace management experts at the Gallup report that the disconnect could cause some workers to leave and suggest employers reevaluate their flexibility and work from home options. The Biden administration is proposing changes to the federal student loan system that would help keep interest and principal separate. The rule would limit the number of ways interest can be added to a principal balance. It's known as interest capitalization, and right now it can happen in a number of ways. The end result is increasing debt as borrowers have to pay interest on previously accrued interest. There are some times where interest capitalization is required, like when a deferment period ends. That won't change, but the rule would stop some other triggering events in place now. If the change makes it through a formal review process, it will take effect as early as next summer. We'll be right back with more after this, but first, let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell. An amazing find.
Yeah, check this out. A man finds more than $2,000 while doing renovations in his 1930s home.
Lucky duck. Chris O'Connell has more on what the homeowner plans to do with the cash.
A Wildwood homeowner is proving doing your own home improvement projects can literally pay off.
As I'm digging, there's debris, there's rocks, there's concrete, there's bottles.
Making major renovations to his home on Andrew Avenue in Wildwood, Rich Gilson,
I thought it was trash.
Dug something out of his front yard.
Tightly rolled 10s and 20s into this thing that looks similar to a Taylor pork roll.
No, it wasn't a chub of pork roll, but it was 2 tightly wound, cigar-shaped rolls of cash.
My wife was in there painting, And I said, you got to come see this. You won't believe what I just found.
More than $2,000 in vintage cash was found buried on his property. The bills, most of it in pristine condition, all minted in 1934. But where did the mystery money come from?
Either somebody robbed a bank and buried it there, or somebody didn't trust the banks. 1934, height of the Depression. They didn't trust the banks, and they just said, I'm going to bury it under my house.
Now, believe it or not, Gilson says he's not going to spend any of this cash. He says the $2,000 is well worth one heck of a story.
That is one heck of a story.
So what's he going to do with it if he's not going to spend it?
I mean, he's got vintage money there, you know. If you save that,
yeah.
We're talking it could be worth more than $2,000.
True that, true that.
So, I mean, I was looking at those bills and it said, you know, they were 1934 series bills. But I do like his theory. I mean, somebody either robbed a bank or they didn't trust the banks during the Depression. I mean, and during the Depression, it really could have gone either way.
I mean, it was in the 30s, so.
Yeah. I mean, that's just incredible. And it does just beg that, like, why?
I mean, and you have to think about, like, 2,000 may not seem like an incredibly large find today. Oh, I mean, that would be great. But $2,000 back in the 1934.
That's a lot. That is a lot of money. In fact, we should probably check into that. See how much $2,000 was worth in 1934. We can do that real quick.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
We'll do that. We're going to talk about the forecast. And while we take a look, oh, see, I'm still here. Haha, see, I was going to run away. I wanted to check. Okay, so we're going to multitask. So sunny and clear at 7th and Range Line. Temperatures warming up quite nicely. All of us started in the lower to mid 60s, and now we are pushing into the 70s. Temperatures are going to continue to warm through the day, and we're going to be pushing highs in the lower 90s. As we head through the afternoon under sunny skies. We head into the evening, temperatures not cooling off a whole bunch. So that's why I was talking about multitasking. Temperatures getting into the mid to upper 70s for overnight lows. So real quick, $2,000 in 1934 is equivalent in purchasing power to about $43,626 today.
Wow.
This man found more than just $2,000 cash. So, I mean, for what it was worth back then. So, I mean, we're talking, whoever hid that in that house had a hefty chunk of change. So, real quick check. I wanted to talk real quick about the drought situation. Oh, and look, this map is actually updated because we get current information all the time. We were mostly sitting in dry, but with new data coming in, a lot of us are now in moderate drought status. That's because we haven't seen a lot of rain. Unfortunately, even with increasing rain chances into the weekend, they're going to be scattered at best, so it's not really going to make a dent before we head back into the hundreds by next week. We've got more on your forecast and KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. More than 100 homes in Southwest Virginia have been destroyed after heavy rains result in catastrophic flash flooding. First responders from across the state are rushing to the scene to provide assistance to Buchanan County. Search and rescue operations are underway with some residents unaccounted for. President Biden continues his Middle East trip with a second day in Israel. The president is slated to receive the Israeli Medal of Honor and attend the opening ceremonies of Maccabi Games, a global competition of international Jewish athletes. On Friday, he meets with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas before traveling to Saudi Arabia for the final leg of the trip. Beachgoers on Long Island, New York are on high alert after another shark attack. Officials say a surfer suffered a bite from a 4-foot shark on Wednesday morning. At the same beach, a shark attacked a man earlier this month. A 41-year-old man says he got away by punching the shark. This is at least the 4th attack on Long Island in the past 2 weeks. Experts say warmer waters are bringing sharks closer to shore to find food.
A nice start to the day, and then we are going to heat up rather rapidly as the sun comes out. We're going to warm into the upper 90s for afternoon highs and not cooling off a lot tonight. Temperatures only getting back into the mid to upper 70s. Quick look at the 7-day forecast does show increasing shower and thunderstorm chances. It also shows increasing temperatures, which is not something that we need, but unfortunately it is summer, and that's just what we've got.
Well, mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? This mirror won't tell you that, but it's got its own magic. Look closely. You can see an image of a Buddha surrounded by rays of light.
Now, the mirror dates back to the 15th or 16th century, but it had been sitting in storage in the Cincinnati Art Museum until someone started researching so-called magic mirrors, rare ancient mirrors that in a certain light reveal images or patterns hidden on their reflective surfaces.
After playing around with light, this mirror showed off its own magic. And on the back, if you know where to look, that's where the design is, along with an inscription spelling out who was depicted. Amitabha, an important figure.
We've got more news at noon. We'll see you then.